Hello everybody, myself Prashant Mukhopadhyay, faculty member, Electrical Engineering Department, Greater Kolkata College of Engineering and Management. In our last class of power electronics and drives, we have discussed about line commutated, current commutated chopper, or you can tell it as also uh, resonant pulse commutated choppers also. So today we'll discuss a new topic, that is load commutated chopper. So this is load commutated choppers. A circuit is shown here. This is the power circuit of a load commutated chopper, and this chopper circuit consists of 4 thyristors, that is T1, T2, T3 and T4, and one commutating capacitor C. Okay, so this is consist of 4 thyristor T1, T2, T3 and T4, and one commutating capacitor C. And the thyristor T1 and T2 and form one pair, and thyristor T3 and T4 form another pair, which conduct the load current alternatively. Okay, so this is one pair and this is another pair, and load current conducting this each pair alternatively to the say load. Okay, so when one thyristor pair T1 and T2 functions as main thyristors, at the same time other thyristors pair T2, T3 and T4 functions as auxiliary thyristors. So there is no need of another separate auxiliary thyristors for commutating purpose. So which we have seen in the current commutated or voltage commutated chopper. So in a load commutated, when one pair is allowing the current through the load, the other pair is take the role of auxiliary thyristor or commutating thyristor. Okay, and this is vice versa. So again, operations of the chopper circuit is divided into different operating modes, and these modes are discussed with this associated waveforms. And the waveforms actually here this is shown here, and this waveform starts at the instant t equal to t0. From here the waveform is getting started. So, and it is assumed that pair prior to this instant t0, capacitor C was charged to reverse voltage of minus EDC. So that is likewise in case of voltage commutated choppers and current commutated choppers. So this is this capacitor voltage C is charged with say minus reverse voltage minus EDC. So due to the conductions of the thyristors and T3 and T4, so in this way basically, so this is actually charge of say due to conductions of the thyristors T3 and T4, and therefore before the instant T0, say the capacitor upper plate is becomes negative and lower plate becomes positive. Okay, so during mode 1 operations, that is shown here. So at t equal to say t0, so this is at mode 1 operations at t equal to t0, both thyristors T1 and T2 are triggered. So that is shown here. So both this is the triggering pulse for thyristor 1 and thyristor 2. So both the thyristors T1 and T2 are triggered at here. So this T1 and T2 are triggered. Okay, so therefore load current flows through the part, say load current flows through this path EDC, that is from here. So this thyristor 1, then this capacitors C, then T2, and then in this way. Okay, so basically load current flows through the path EDC to T1, then C to T2, and the load like this. Okay, so the load voltage E0, this is the load voltage. So E0 is now how much? So this is equal to this EDC minus this minus VC. That is equal to 2 EDC. Okay, so that is equal to 2 EDC. So the capacitor C is charged linearly by a constant load current I0, that is from minus EDC at t equal to 0 or to EDC at t equal to T1. So that is shown here. So actually on this is shown from T2 T0 to T1. Okay, so minus EDC to EDC. Okay, now when the capacitor is charged fully positive at t equal to T1, so the current through the conducting thyristors T1 and T2 becomes 0, and this go into the blocking mode, and the load voltage E0 falls linearly, and this is so load voltage falls linearly, and the freewheeling diode DUF, that is here, this is the freewheeling diode, so DF, so becomes forward biased. This freewheeling diode becomes forward biased, and the load current is transferred from T1 and T2 to DF. So load current is transferred from T1 and then T2 to DF. Okay, so basically at mode 2 operations, what is the mode 2 operations? At mode 2 operations it is shown here. So it is at from T1 to T. Actually this is mode 2 operation from T1 to T. So mode 2 operations, the freewheeling diode DF at mode 2 operations, the freewheeling diode DF conduct the load current. So this is actually freewheeling diode conducting this load current at mode 2 operations. Okay, so and for the period T1 to T, so VC equal to how much? VC equal to EDC, and IC equal to then 0. So this is IC equal to 0, and VC equal to say EDC, IF, this freewheeling diode currents equal to I0, and the load voltage E0 equal to 0. So that is shown here. So that is shown here. Okay, so actually this is E0. Okay, during this period, this is IC, this is actually IF, and this is actually say I0. Okay, so this is I0. So actually now at t equal to T, the second pair, so the freewheeling diode, actually the freewheeling diode, so I told you that is DF conducts the load currents, and for the period T1 to T, VC equal to EDC, IC equal to 0, IF equal to I0, and the load voltage E0 equal to 0. And now at T equal to capital T, that is chopping period, the second pair of thyristor T3 and T4 is triggered, at this is T3 and T4 for is triggered for this gate current G3 and IG4. So this places the fully charged capacitors across thyristor T1 and T2, reverse biasing them and turning off, and the cycle now repeats. The cycle now repeats. So this is actually the load commutated thyristors and a load commutated choppers, and this is its voltage and current waveforms for the load commutated choppers. And design considerations are like this. the average value of the chopper output voltage is controlled by changing the firing frequency of the choppers. So thus it is a frequency modulated chopper. So actually average value of the chopper output voltage is controlled by changing the firing frequency of the choppers, and thus it is a frequency modulated chopper. So as it is shown in this voltage and the current waveforms. So for a constant load current I0, capacitor voltage changes from minus EDC to EDC in time t on. That is the total change in voltage is 2 EDC. I told you in time t on. Therefore, load current I0 equal to 2 EDC into C by T on. So turn on time T on equal to 2 EDC into C by I0. And the output voltage is 0 equal to EDC into T on by T, and this is actually duty cycle. So EDC T on into F. So substituting this, actually this is actually frequency. So F. So substituting this value of T on from this equation to in this equation, so we will get E0, that is output voltage equal to 2 EDC square C F by I0. This F equal to chopping frequency, minimum chopping period T min equal to T on. So and F max equal to 1 by T min. So that is equal to 1 by T on. And this substituting this value in these equations, we will get F max equal to I0 by 2 EDC into C. So now the output voltage at maximum frequency is given by say it is at maximum frequency output voltage equal to 2 EDC squared into C by I0 into I0 by 2 EDC into C. So that will I0 cancel out. So EDC E0 max at maximum frequency will be EDC. So from these equations, actually this we are getting that and this equation EDC equal to 2 EDC square C I0 into F max. So F max equal to I0 by 2 EDC into C. So this type of chopper has several advantages and disadvantages. Advantages is the chopper is capable of commutating any amount of current, and no commutating inductor is required in this chopper circuit, which is normally costly, bulky and noisy. And this circuit can operate at high frequencies of the order of kilohertz, and therefore filtering requirements to smooth out load current are minimal. And disadvantages is that this chopper circuit has some minor disadvantages. That is, peak load voltage is twice the supply voltage, but this peak can be reduced by filtering. Because of the higher switching losses at higher frequencies and the losses in the two conducting thyristors in series with the load, efficiency may become low for high power applications. And since freewheeling diode is subjected to twice the supply voltage in a short time, fast recovery type diode must be used, and the commutating capacitor has to carry the load current at a frequency half the chopping period. So once the thyristor pair should be turned on only when the other pair is commutated. So this can be realized by sensing the capacitor current that is alternating. So that's all about this load commutated choppers. So far in today's discussions of load commutated choppers, we have discussed its circuitry, its voltage and current waveforms of the load commutated chopper, and also we have discussed the design considerations, particularly its different factors, and we have also discussed the advantages and disadvantages of this load commutated chopper. So after all, after this say discussions of this circuit, so we can say that the outcome of this, that you how the load commutated chopper is operated, what is its advantages, what is its disadvantages, what are the design considerations, and what is its circuits, etc. So I hope you have understood everything. Thank you. for this presentation. So now we'll discuss about Jones chopper. Basically, this is actually the Jones chopper. So this Jones chopper, it is the power circuit of Jones chopper, and this chopper circuit is another example of class D commutation, that is a voltage commutated chopper. So basically it is. So this chopper circuit, which thyristor 1 T1 is the main thyristor, and whereas thyristor 2 capacitor C, this diode D1, and this auto transformer T forms the commutating circuit for the main thyristor T1. So this is the main thyristor which we want to commutate, and this T2, this capacitor C, this diode D1, and this tapped transformer or auto transformer T is forming the commutating circuit for the main thyristor T1. So the special features of this circuit is this tapped auto transformer. So through therefore through this tapped auto transformer, a portion of which these portions the load current flows, and here this L1 and L2 are closely coupled, so that the capacitor always gets sufficient energy to turn off the main thyristor T1. So if the main thyristor T1 is on for a long period, if it is this T1 is on for a long period, then the motor will reach the maximum. This is the motor, basically this is the load. So motor will reach the maximum steady state speed determined by the battery voltage, the motor, and the mechanical load characteristics. So and if thyristor T1 is off, this thyristor T1 is off, so the motor will not rotate. So if T1 is off, so motor will not rotate. So now if thyristor T1 is alternatively on and off in a cyclic manner, the motor will rotate at some speed between maximum and 0. Okay, so actually this is the waveforms of the Jones chopper. So voltage and current waveforms of the Jones chopper circuit. So, and first of all, assume initially the capacitor is charged to a voltage EDC. So this capacitor is charged to a voltage EDC with the polarity as it is shown here. So upper plate it is positive, and lower plate it is negative. So as actually shown in this waveforms, this waveform, say SCR T1 is triggered at time t equal to T1. So let's at t equal to T1, this SCR T1 is triggered. So this is the gate signal given to the T1, and T1 is triggered. Okay, at t, this is T1 is triggered at t equal to T1. Okay, now at t equal to T1, and current flows through the path of current flows through the path you will find here. Basically flows to the path CA, T1, L2, D1, and CB. So this is like, yeah, this is the current part. Okay, CA, that is means from this point, this is T1, then this is the portions of the tapped transformer, this is L2, then D1, and then it is, so this is the this completing the part. Okay, that is CB. So and the capacitor, therefore it will be it will charge to opposite polarity. So and that is plate B is in that case will be positive, and plate A is negative. Okay, plate B is positive and plate A is negative. So however, this diode D1 prevents further oscillations of the resonating L2C circuit. So this diode will say prevents the further oscillations of the resonating circuit L2 and C, L2C circuit. Hence, capacitor C retains its charge until this SCR T2 is triggered. So it will retain its charge until SCR2 is triggered, and that is shown here in this figure. So the capacitor voltage waveforms are drawn at bottom plate B of the capacitors. Capacitor voltage go to the capacitor voltage, yeah, on the bottom plate at that is shown here. Okay, so now at time t equal to t2, say at t equal to t2, SCR T2 is triggered. Let's say IG2 is triggered at t equal to t2. So IG2 is given, provided, and SCR this that is equal to, it is triggered. Okay, so IT2 at t equal to t2, it is triggered. Clear? Now current flows through the path. So current flows through this path CB T2 come here, that is here, this here, so that is from this, then T2, then T1 and CF. Okay, so in this path it will try to follow in this path. So therefore discharge of capacitor C reverse biased SCR T1. Okay, so this will reverse bias this T1 and turns it off, so it will off. Okay, and the capacitor again charges off with plate A positive and SCR T2 turn off because the current through it falls below the holding current value when capacitor C is recharged. Okay, so the cycle will repeat. So the cycle will repeat with SCR T1 is again triggered, and the use of the auto transformer ensures that whenever a circuit is delivered from DC source to the load, voltage is induced in L2. Voltage is induced in the L2 in the correct polarity for charging the commutating capacitor to a voltage higher than EDC. Okay, and thus the auto transformer in a measured manner or measurably enhances the reliability of the circuit here. And at T5, come to here. So at T5, okay, at T5 the bottom plate, this is the bottom plate of the capacitor C reaches its peak value. Okay, at T5 this bottom plate reaches its peak value. Okay, since at T5 the capacitor is charged to a value greater than EDC, capacitor is charged to a value greater than EDC, diode D1 is again forward biased. This diode is again forward biased. Okay, so if it is forward biased, so capacitor C is now discharges to a value lower than EDC, and the time duration from T3 to T4 is the circuit turn off time presented to SCR T1. So this time T2 to T4 is the circuit turn off time presented to SCR T1. So that is about the operation and process of this Jones choppers. And what is the design considerations here? So design considerations is the basic design of the Jones chopper circuit involves the proper selections of commutating capacitor C and autotransformer T. Basically, part of this autotransformer L2 is take part in the commutating process. So that is shown in the figure here also. I told you. So this is the part of this commutating circuit. So with this design considerations, if you initially the maximum load current say IOM is flowing through L1, and during turning off of SCR T1, the energy stored in the inductance L1 is being transferred to capacitor C, and thus half L1 IOM square equal to half C VC square, or VC square by IOM square equal to L1 by C. So VC equal to IOM root of L1 by C, and during the turn up time TQ, the capacitor voltage changes from VCC to 0, and hence TQ equal to VC into C by IOM. So if we substitute this value of VC from this equation to this equation, so we'll get this TQ equal to IOM root over L1 by C into C by IOM. So TQ equal to root over L1 into say C. So now dividing these equations, this by EDC, this L is equal to VC by EDC equal to IOM by EDC into root over L1 by C. So if we defined this VC by EDC equal to G and RM equal to EDC by IOM, so this equation becomes G equal to 1 by RM root over L1 by C. So depending on the values of L1, C and RM, the value of G is greater than 1. So the voltage across SCR T1 and T2 is therefore VC equal to G into EDC. Hence a large value of G would require an increase in the voltage rating of the thyristors in the circuit. So in this type of chopper circuit, basically only dissipative elements are say winding resistance and the forward conducting resistance of the SCRs and diodes. So therefore this circuit is basically very efficient, and the inductance L maintains the load current through the diode say DF when SCR T1 is not conducting. Diode DF is the freewheeling diode, and the circuit diagram of the freewheeling diode already with this main power circuit has been shown in the zone, and when SCR T1 is not conducting, so this diode DF is maintaining the load current, and hence the motor torque which is proportional to the load current is smooth rather than pulsating. And if the inductance in the load circuit is small, the change in the load current is substantial, which would result in substantial torque ripple in the motor load. So with this actually we will say conclude our discussions on the DC choppers. So particularly this Jones choppers was the last concluding part of the DC choppers as mentioned in your syllabus. So today in today's discussions actually we have talked about this load commutated choppers and then Jones chopper. So and where it is being applied and how it is being operated. So in details we have discussed in today's discussion. In Jones choppers we have discussed about the Jones chopper basic power circuit with freewheeling diode and DC motor drive using Jones choppers. We have also discussed about its commutating circuits and how it is being operated and what it is say voltage and current waveforms. That's also we have discussed, and also we have say considered the design considerations of this Jones choppers circuit. So hopefully you have understand everything, and the net outcome of this say discussions is that. So whenever in your futures, whenever you will say apply this Jones choppers, you will be you are already now will be familiar with that, and I ask you to go to the textbook. If you have any problem, you ask me in the letter. That's all. Thank you.